Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Dia coin. Now, this thing has gone absolutely nuclear in the last 2 weeks. Okay. I repeat, it has gone absolutely nuclear in the last 2 weeks. It has more or less gone up 190 to 195% in the last 2 weeks. That's like a three times gains, three times profit. If you just literally bought at the bottom of last week, right? That is insane. That is insane. But look, this rally is no coincidence. All right, let's just get it out the way. This rally is no coincidence, and it has to be this strong because, ladies and gentlemen, there are multiple factors. But before we get into it, let's do a little bit of a background check, right? We can see that Dia at one point had very, very nice price action going up fundamentally, peaked in 2021, right? Just kind of like the way everything else did, sold off super aggressively, and it kind of just kept dying, right? It kind of kept going sideways and sideways. But then, ladies and gentlemen, something big happened. And this is why, and this contributes to the pump, by the way, right? So we kind of went sideways. We failed to hold this huge support and we crashed. And we went to something what I call hell. Okay. This is hell. Why is it hell? It's because when you fall under a very, very big support, it turns from a floor to a roof. And it goes from being your best friend to your worst enemy. Okay. Because you have to break out of hell. And that is just the reality. Okay. That is just how the markets work. And we can see, right? We had a sell off. One point had a big retest, go, 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 go. Just one random week went from 52 cents to $1.15. And then the way it closed around 52 cents, right? And then we can see we were accumulating pretty much in 2022, 2023, right? All of this accumulation sideways period. And then eventually we had our very big break, our true big moment. Even though we had one in 2024, we had our true big moment in late 2024 October. We can see for multiple weeks we were pumping, pumping, pumping. It looked good, it looked great until it didn't. Okay. Uh, you know, but look, this is how the markets work. Usually, when they try to break through a zone, the first attempt fails. And that's just the reality. You can ask many traders, the first attempt usually fails. So, they charged up, they were looking to, go and boom, right? They failed and then it went back down. And we can see something on the monthly that, you know, even though price action was kind of down and kind of sideways, we were still overall bullish on the monthly. Why? Because we pretty much had a double bottom in terms of closing. And then back in June, the way we closed was a higher low. So it did indicate that a pump was coming. Now, did I expect in 2 weeks for this to happen? No, right? These markets are crazy. Sometimes they're very fundamental, sometimes they're like pump, 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 pump. But looking in hindsight and looking from what I know when it comes to cryptos and markets trying to break out of a big zone, this actually makes a lot of sense, right? The reason why the rally is so strong, and I've seen this with other cryptos, is because usually when they look to break past a very, very big support or resistance, and in this case, a resistance, right? They just go, go, go and slam through, right? They have all pretty much the firepower they need and they slam through, right? I kind of expect this pump to kind of end soon. The maximum I expect it to pump as of right now is to $1.34. Take out this 2024 liquidity, right? This 2024 top, and then sell off, right? That is the maximum I see this going, because then, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to sell off probably around $1, low 90 cents, accumulate, say, hey, look, we're going sideways again, respect the support they once lost, and then we were going to start moving to the upside. Okay, that is pretty much the script. Now we will see if it wipes out these tops, but if it does, and there's a very high chance it will, I bet you it just goes a couple cents further, like $1.40 at max. Like I'm telling you, right? And I'm saying this right now, and it's gonna be in the public, and we're gonna see, right? We're gonna see. I might even just take a short term sell for this. Okay, like literally once it goes over, I might just do something like this, potentially to just get a quick 1 to 1, a 1 to 2, 1 to 3. Okay, just because I know the markets are, they're very big manipulators. Now, we do have this high here, but I do think this is going to be run and taken out for next time, right? By next time, I mean the next big pump, right? After we go here, very high chance of sweeping this, go back down, and eventually when we start going sideways, we probably go up again. Then again, we go sideways, retest off of this zone right over here, right? Because there's going to be a lot of structure at that point, and then just continue to rally to the upside very, very aggressively. Okay, this is going to be the script. This is going to be a script. Take a screenshot of it. Do what you like with it. Look, let's look at Bitcoin for a second because this is important. This is going to be the indication. All right, this is very, very important. Right, we did have a strong candle 2 weeks ago. Last week was fairly bearish, but the candle ended very weak, and right now we are looking a little weak. Now I expect Bitcoin to continue to break out, so this is good for something like DIA because DIA is going to pump. DIA is going to sell off a little bit. Bitcoin is still going to be mainly in the spotlight, and eventually when DIA is ready to explode again, that's when the transition is going to start happening. That's what I personally expect. Okay. Now there's a chance, of course, depending on how everything goes, I'd say mainly this week, to see if, Bitcoin does go lower and we top out. But like I said, I do think, we will continue to go higher. Things like Bitcoin dominance, right, are at a extremely crucial area. Extremely crucial. There's two options. Either we have a very weak 1 or 2 weeks, and then we start slamming lower, giving us confirmation that the beginning of altcoin season is officially here, right? Not necessarily the biggest pump, but just the beginning of altcoin season. Or, ladies and gentlemen, we see a kind of rally slowly and expansion, one final pump before then we sell off and go down very aggressively, right? Back then in 2024, in November and December, people thought this was going to be altcoin season because the aggressive sell-offs. But then, of course, we said on the channel, hey, don't be too certain. We're simply bouncing off an extremely important high time frame key zone. Now we can see if we go to something like the monthly, all right, this is the monthly support. This was the monthly support. So do not get too excited just yet. The prime altcoin season still might be 4 or 5 months away. But don't worry, this means overall your crypto should be building up and should be stocking up over the next few short weeks and months for a even bigger rally. Okay, and that is the truth. That is the reality. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is ultimately it. Let me know what you guys think of DIA. Do you guys have it? What prices you get in? And what are your goals? I love you guys so much. And of course, let me know if you want more videos. Like I said, I go based off the views, likes, and engagements. If people are viewing, liking, and commenting, that means they want. If it has low views, low likes, low comments, that means, well, people are not simply interested. So let me know, right? If DIA does start doing well, we could, implement it every single day, every other day, or even like this 3 to 5 times a week, I'd say. But yeah, that is it. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.